The fluorescent lights hummed softly overhead as Emma Dawson paced the quiet hospital corridor, flipping through notes she'd long memorized. It was 10 minutes past the end of her shift, and every fiber of her being urged her to head home. But there, nestled alone in the corner cubicle of the pediatric ward, was a small shape, a child with a heart as fragile as the paper-thin hospital gown clinging to his body. "Hey there, buddy," she said gently, kneeling beside the bed of a boy who couldn't have been more than 7. His face was pale, speckled with a smattering of freckles, and his wide eyes flickered with the uncertainty of unexplained pain and a deep, soulful search for comfort. His name was Leo, and while the other children in the ward had parents bustling in and out, showering them with hugs and reassurances, Leo's face was eerily silent. Emma had seen the stiffness in the social worker's posture when they'd placed Leo under her care. No family had come to visit. No one had called. The world outside kept spinning, unaware of this quiet tragedy brewing in plain sight. "What do you say we find a movie to watch?" she suggested, softening her voice as an attempt to bridge the gap between their realities. Leo looked skeptical, his small hands gripping the blanket. It was heavy, like the uncertainty hanging in the air. "I don't like movies," he murmured, barely above a whisper. "Well, how about we read a story instead?" Emma reached for a tattered children's book that lay on the bedside table, a relic of happier afternoons before the hospital's frowning walls contained him. He hesitated, casting his gaze to the floor as if he were considering the gravity of the offer. But one deep breath later, the corners of his mouth flickered, if only slightly. When Emma opened the book, her heart swelled at the sight of his fingers finally resting on the pages, tracing the colorful illustrations of castles and dragons. Hours slipped away as they shared tales of bravery and adventure, laughter seeping through the sterile walls. The clock ticked steadily, but Emma couldn't bring herself to check it again. She was lost in the warmth of the moment, imparting each story as if it were a small gift. Each laugh, wrapping both of them in a cocoon of comfort. As she turned the last page of a particularly engaging fable, Leo spoke up unexpectedly. "Are you going to leave me alone when the doctors come?" His voice quavered, the innocence of a child masking the fear of abandonment all too familiar to Emma. "No," she assured him, her heart tightening in her chest at his vulnerable tone. "I'll stay with you until you're ready to sleep. You won't be alone, I promise." And so, amid softly spoken words and shared secrets, the minutes melted into the evening. The weight of her work, a relentless stream of demands, emergencies, and endless paperwork, faded against the poignant reality of a single child in need of solace. Emma faltered for a moment, wondering how many others like Leo had slipped through the cracks, echoing in her mind long after she'd balanced her responsibilities. Time passed swiftly in this delicately woven tapestry of connection, and when the shift finally changed, it wasn't the relief of freedom that swept over her, it was a grounding sense of duty. She saw him nestled deep within the sheets, his eyelids fluttering in dreams. "Good night, Leo," she whispered, brushing a stray hair from his forehead. Hoping to soothe some subconscious worry, she leaned closer. "I'll be right here if you need me." Days transformed into weeks, and Emma's heart grappled with both happiness and sorrow as she continued caring for Leo. Each day intertwined a small yet significant step toward healing, whether it was through whispered bedtime stories or games of pretend that kept the monsters of reality at bay. And always, the quiet understanding lingered between them. Yet, nights would close in too soon, with the other children surrounded by their families, laughter spilling through the corridors. There were moments when the echoes rang in stark sharpness, pounding against Emma's heart, heralding the loneliness that simmered beneath their fleeting joy. And so Emma made it her mission not just to care for Leo's physical well-being, but to make every moment matter, from bringing him vibrant drawings made by other children to arranging little celebrations for milestones. Each act of kindness gradually stitched a quilt of comfort that allowed hope to flourish. One day, under the lights that buzzed softly overhead, Leo surprised her. His small hands were hidden in his pocket, and when he finally pulled them out, his fingers unfolded to reveal a piece of paper. Scribbled crudely with crayons were images of knights and castles, variations of what they had shared countless times. But at the center, a figure stood tall with a stethoscope around her neck. A bright smile stretched across the face. "I made this for you," he announced, his voice now firm, the tremors of uncertainty replaced by an endearing innocence. Emma felt her eyes mist with emotion, recognizing the essence captured in this simple artwork. "It's beautiful, Leo," she replied, glancing down at the paper as if it were a treasure. "This is you. You're my hero," he said softly, and for a moment, the unshed tears sparkled like the stars in the heavens above. She could hardly speak, the sincerity of his words wrapping around her heart like a warm embrace. It was then that she understood. From the physical bonds of her duty as a nurse, they were woven through shared experiences, laughter echoing against the walls, an unspeakable understanding that transcended time. The air became a face the next minute as she ran to her, one last time declaring my gratitude. But they weren't going anywhere. From the first time they met. But little did she know how their fragile connection would ripple outward, shaping not just Leo's life, but her own. In the weeks to come, the child whose laughter filled not just their cubicle, but the entire ward, would carry the seeds of hope that would blossom in unexpected ways for both of them, revealing a truth they had yet to uncover. Life would bring challenges and tribulations, but as Emma snuck out of her shift that night with Leo's drawing folded delicately in her pocket, she felt the weight lift just a little. It was a sign, perhaps, that enablement thrived not just in her care, but in the embrace of love that could arise in the most unexpected encounters. Emma's routine transformed in the weeks following that pivotal night. Each shift, stepping into the pediatric ward, she felt a familiar anticipation blossoming in her chest as she glanced at Leo's cubicle, hoping to catch sight of him. From a timid boy who had clung to his blanket for dear life, he was now vulnerable yet electrifying, a spirit rippling with the infinitesimal growth of hope. Their bond deepened gradually. Days turned into precious threads woven together, introducing laughter to the sterile atmosphere of the hospital. Emma began to see the power of her actions echoed in Leo's own transformation. Each time she read, sang, or simply sat close by, watching him draw or interact with other children, he became a beacon of resilience in a world that had initially seemed so dark to him. One afternoon, the sun poured through the windows, filling the ward with a warm glow as Emma led a small group of children in an art therapy session. They mixed colors on their palettes, tiny fingers exploring the synergy of vibrancy in a place where it had been sorely lacking. Emma glanced at Leo, who was deep in concentration, his brow furrowed as he carefully layered blue over yellow, creating something uniquely his own. "Wow, Leo, that looks amazing!" Emma exclaimed, crouching down beside him. She marveled at the vivid sun he had painted, a sun that was almost beating out the description in her heart. He flushed with pride, his smile breaking through like golden light. "It's my sunshine," he declared, lifting the canvas for all to see. "Like you, Emma, you're always here." The word always lingered in the air between them, glowing warmly as the golden light filled the room. Emma's heart swelled. She had once harbored doubts about her own effectiveness and how much her presence meant, but moments like these made it unmistakably clear. The magic of sunshine is often hidden behind clouds, but when it breaks through, everything feels different, brighter, she explained, gesturing toward the other children, who had begun sharing stories of their own artwork. Each child's face lit up with pride, weaving a tapestry of community between them all. In that shared moment, Emma thought how they too were creating a warmth in the hospital, a space where everyone was connected through creativity and understanding. As they painted, laughter echoed off the sterile walls, intertwining with a nascent sense of hope. It was during these moments that she discovered that she was as much a part of this environment as the patients she cared for. The swirling colors on canvas became reflections of their individual journeys, with Leo's sun shining amidst a world painted with shadows. Days morphed into months. Emma grew more accustomed to the routine of snacks, stories, and laughter. Yet the landscape of the pediatric ward began shifting slowly, revealing unexpected ripples of impact. Kids who had been withdrawn started seeking Leo's company, lured by his artifacts of creativity. They exchanged drawings, shared crayons, and laughter echoed mischievously around them. It was during one evening shift when a sudden flurry of excitement broke the usual calm. Rumors had rattled through the wards. A talent show was being organized for the children as a means of stretching their wings and showing off their brighter sides. Emma was buzzing with anticipation. This would be the perfect way for Leo to express himself. Weeks passed as preparations commenced. Emma, energized by the idea, encouraged Leo in every small task and idea. "You could recite a poem," she suggested one day, brushing back hair from her forehead. "I can't, Emma," Leo replied, much more adamant than he had ever been. "What if I mess up?" The hesitance in his voice tugged at Emma's heart. "It's okay to mess up. Everyone will clap for you no matter what. They want to see your sunshine." He considered her for a moment, and after a pause that felt significantly heavier than it should, he nodded. "Okay, it's just a practice, right?" "Exactly, just practice," Emma grinned, reflecting on the numerous times they had ventured into the world of storytelling. The interactions had enriched them both, providing seeds for trust. And so began their rehearsals for the show. Late nights turned into bright mornings filled with whispers of encouragement, shared poems and shadow storytelling they'd crafted. Emma went home, rehearsing Leo's lines to herself, envisioning the pride that would soon light up his pale cheeks. Then the night arrived. The auditorium glimmered with vibrant decorations, a kaleidoscope of colors that dazzled the eyes. Emma watched as children dressed in their best beamed with excitement, laughter tangled with anticipation, followed by the rustles of paper, the tilt of chairs, and the hum of a gathering crowd. Emma's heart raced, holding her breath as Leo stepped on stage. His tiny form stood firmly despite the daunting atmosphere enveloping him. Yet, as soon as he began to recite, his words, growling at first but gaining strength, it was as if the world melted away. He spoke each word with growing confidence, painting in the air with the colors of his emotions, echoing the very essence of the sunshine he created so lovingly on canvas. The audience grew quiet, captivated by the transformation they witnessed. Emma, perched near the front, blinked back tears of pride and joy. She realized that she was not just there as his caregiver, she was a part of his journey, witnessing the blossoming of resilience. Following his performance, his classmates, teachers, and even hospital staff erupted into applause, cheers ringing out like echoes of freedom. "Bravo, Leo!" Emma shouted, her voice lifting above the rest. He turned, eyes wide open in disbelief, but the emerging smile told her everything. It touched the very fabric of his growth over the months. He had blossomed. After the show concluded, the applause faded, and Emma found Leo in a quiet corner of the auditorium, holding the small medal awarded to every participant. His vibrant sunshine from before radiated even brighter now. "Are you proud, Emma?" he asked, uncertainty flickering behind his eyes. "More than you can ever know," she replied, kneeling down to his level. "This moment, that's an accomplishment that will carry you far." But it turned out that this night was but a prelude to what was yet to unfold. A few days later, Emma arrived for her shift, an undercurrent of excitement flowing through the ward. Conversations buzzed about upcoming visitors, with families coming in to share joyous celebrations and unforeseen moments of warmth. Yet, in stark contrast to this vibrant atmosphere, Emma found Leo's cubicle empty. A soft thud echoed in the pit of her stomach as she glanced around, confusion knitting her brow. A nurse, her name badge shining brightly, approached her. "He's in the playroom. Just got some wonderful news." "What news?" Emma felt the air shift thickly around her. "Someone came to visit Leo today, a social worker. They're working on a family reunion." Hope flickered in Emma's heart, but it shook violently amidst anxiety. This could be a double-edged sword. A beloved family could return and sweep Leo away, or it could lead to disappointment if the meeting did not go well. Back in the playroom, the air was bright with laughter and excitement as kids darted around playing games. Emma spotted Leo sitting at a table flipping through a stack of colored papers, lost in concentration. But beside him sat a woman who appeared to radiate warmth, eyes glimmering with tears of joy. Leo's gaze followed her gestures, and with a sudden eruption of laughter, they seemed wrapped in their own universe despite the commotion of other children. Emma took a step back, her heart heavy with a burst of emotions. This seemingly miraculous reunion was fraught with layers upon layers of feelings. As the conversation continued, she sensed the brief, tremulous connection, an acknowledgement of years apart, blending with pure love. The reunion wasn't the determined fantasy she envisioned. It was complex, woven with time, separation, and healing. Later that evening, just as Emma wrapped up her shift, she found Leo waiting for her by the entrance, clutching the hastily drawn crayon papers he had created that day. "Was it good?" she asked gingerly, searching his eyes for hints of joy. He nodded, standing taller than she had ever seen him, a newfound spark illuminating his essence. "I have something to show you." From his pocket, beaming through the dimension of innocence, Leo revealed a folded piece of paper, the edges worn from repeated handling. "This is for you." Tentative curiosity sparked within Emma as she accepted the crumpled gift. Unfolding it, her breath caught in her throat. It was the sketch of them both, surrounded by colors and sunshine, a vivid rendering of unconditional love and growth they had fostered together. But under it, which he had painstakingly written, were the words, "Thank you for believing in my sunshine. I'll always shine brighter because of you." Tears welled up in Emma's eyes as she knelt to meet his gaze, realizing the enormity of this moment transcended merely their shared experiences. It was a promise, a mutual acknowledgement of how much they had changed each other, an outline of their entwined journeys that would echo in the seasons to come. "Leo," she said softly, reaching for his smaller hands, "you'll always carry the sun with you. No matter where life leads you, remember it's within you." Their eyes locked for an eternal moment, both of them knowing the transformation they had undergone together, and the realization that, even amidst uncertainty, kindness had forged a bond that would last beyond the confines of the hospital walls. As they stood together within that vibrant blend of hurried moments and soft whispers, Emma knew the impact of her choice to stay beyond her shifts had rippled far greater than imagined. Each child's journey affected the next, a network of empathy and understanding built silently, yet powerfully, just like Leo's drawing. a masterpiece cradled in the palms of their intertwined destinies. With those thoughts echoing in her heart, Emma took Leo's hand, knowing full well that little son was far more than just a beacon of hope. It was a new beginning, enveloped in layers of love, that day painted not just in colors, but in infinite possibilities ahead. As the days turned into weeks and then months, the bond between Emma and Leo deepened into something profound. Their afternoons were filled with laughter and storytelling, transforming the sterile walls of the pediatric ward into a landscape bursting with creativity and hope. Leo, once a shy boy hidden behind fear, now wielded crayons like a sword, mastering the craft of turning every blank canvas into a vibrant expression of his imagination. Despite his medical challenges, which still flared irregularly, Leo faced each day with resilience, a spark ignited by Emma's unwavering support. Emma made it her mission, a small act of kindness transformed into a steadfast commitment to nurture the child who had emerged from the shadows into the light. She took it upon herself to create spaces of joy in a place filled with uncertainty. As their friendship blossomed, they incorporated other children into their magical realm whenever possible. Emma introduced art therapy sessions, and with Leo's influence, the ward transformed into an oasis of laughter, art, and shared stories. The children's imaginations went wild, and the walls that had once enshrined fear now radiated with encouraging colors. Emma found herself growing alongside Leo, fueled by his transformation. The lesson emerged with taxing clarity. Compassion bore fruits not just for the recipient, but tremendously for the giver as well. With each smile she witnessed, each bewildered laugh, she felt newly invigorated. The exhaustion that had once weighed heavy on her shoulders began lifting gradually. Whenever she stayed late, each sunset painted against the dusty hospital windows became a reminder that these moments mattered, both for Leo and for her soul. However, a subtle undercurrent of dread still flickered in Emma's chest. Amidst the vibrant camaraderie, a gnawing anxiety simmered as she feared what lay ahead for Leo. The whispers around the ward spoke of family reunification plans. But those could just as easily usher in heartache. Emma's protective instincts intensified. She longed for Leo to remain in this safe bubble they'd created. When the day finally drew near for Leo's family to visit, Emma's heart waged war with hope and trepidation. She witnessed the glee reflected in Leo's excited face, the way he flitted about the ward, gathering nervously drawn pictures for their reunion. Each gesture resonated with excitement, yet deep down, the thought lingered. What if this was the end of their time together? On the day of the visit, Emma arrived at the hospital with anticipation wrapped tightly around her heart, precariously balanced on a knife's edge. As she entered the pediatric ward, she spotted Leo perched near the playroom, his hands folded tightly over his little blue art journal, his eyes darting towards the entrance. He looked radiant that day, dressed in a bright blue shirt, but there was a shadow passed through his features, a flicker of uncertainty as he awaited the arrival of his family. "Hey, sunshine," Emma greeted, kneeling beside him with a warm smile, hiding the tension bubbling beneath her skin. "You ready for them?" He nodded, though the tremble of his fingers betrayed him. "What if they don't want me?" Emma's heart cracked slightly. "They do want you, Leo. Remember, family is about love. Even if things happened that made it hard, love stays." He glanced at her, seeking reassurance, and as if he felt it, he smiled. A smile, tentative beam of light, was all she needed. As the door opened, the awkward air shifted. A woman stepped in, the edges of her presence lined with years gone by and regret. Leo's mother. Emma observed the rapid flurry of emotions painted on Leo's face. Recognition, joy, and fear intertwined as their eyes locked. Leo! She exclaimed, tears welling. He darted forward, enveloping her in a hug that was equal parts joy and disbelief. Emma stood slightly apart, witnessing the reconnection unfold. Yet as heartwarming as it was, she felt the weight of her presence grow heavier. She had nurtured this child, walked alongside him through his darkest moments. Yet here was his mother, the one he had longed for. "Thank you for taking care of him," she said softly, her words almost drowning in the echo of her formed connection. Emma nodded, her emotions blending into a chaotic mingling of happiness, pride, and heartache. She felt the warmth of love surge through the atmosphere, and yet she could not shake the sense of finality and reservation rising within her. This was all wonderful, but it could also mean leaving Leo behind. Days turned into weeks, and Emma remained a steady fixture in the pediatric ward throughout Leo's transition as he readjusted into the undulating rhythm of family life. Each day she would find him wrapped in the warmth of his mother's embrace, and although all of it brought a bittersweet sense of relief, her heart wavered under the fear of losing their bond. Then one evening, after a long shift filled with excitement and laughter, Leo approached Emma in the common area of the ward, exhaustion creeping into his eyes. In the midst of the chatter, the beeping machines, and nurses bustling around, Leo plucked at his sleeves, his demeanor grave. "Emma, can we talk?" he said, his small voice cutting through the noise. "Of course, Leo. What's on your mind?" He pointed toward a quiet corner where they often created art together. As they settled into their makeshift nook, he hesitated, fingers toying with the waistband of his jeans. "I wanted to show you something," he said, his seriousness disarming. Emma nodded, feeling a sense of gravity settle between them. "What is it?" Slowly, Leo reached into his pocket, and a glimmer of anticipation lit in her chest. He produced a small, curved piece of paper. When he unfolded it, Emma's heart tightened. It was covered with watercolor splatters, a medley of chaotic colors forming the waves of a sunset, shadows blending into a beautiful array of purple, orange, and yellow. "I painted this for you," Leo confessed, his voice shaky, but there was a certainty in his gaze. "I wanted to thank you for always being there, for believing in me." Tears brimmed in Emma's eyes as she took the painting into her hands. The world around them blurred as she peered into his creation, each brushstroke a culmination of love and emotion. "It's beautiful, Leo. Thank you." She fought against the unraveling emotions, wondering if it was a goodbye or a new beginning. "You've come so far. You are truly my sunshine." He smiled brightly, but there was a trace of sadness deep in his eyes. "You helped me find my sunshine. I want you to see I'll never forget all you've done." They lingered in a moment of silence, a cocoon of understanding binding them. Each crevice of her heart swelled, knowing that nurturing this child had birthed something profound in both their lives. As the days passed, every visit became a bittersweet reminder of their time together. Emma observed that even as Leo thrived in his new family dynamic, the two of them shared an unspoken agreement. Their connection would always be part of who they were. Then came the hardest day of all, when Leo's family officially discharged him from the hospital. On his last day there, the ward buzzed with excitement as everyone gathered to celebrate him. But Emma felt an impending void deepen as she fought against the dampness stealing her words. In the crowded room, filled with balloons and laughter, Leo approached her, a quiet weight resting on his little shoulders. "I'm gonna miss you, Emma," he said, his voice steady despite the tumult around them. Emma kneeled to meet him at his level, forcing back the tears that threatened to spill over. "You are strong and brave, Leo. Don't ever forget that. And hold on to your sunshine." "I will," he replied, his eyes shimmering. "You're my sunshine too, you know." They both stood amidst the cacophony of goodbye, warmth radiating as they exchanged a moment laden with gratitude and love. As she hugged him tightly, Emma felt seeds of hope spark inside her. No bond would be lost. This connection was etched in both their hearts, like an indelible mark. As they pulled apart, Leo reached into his pocket once more, producing a small translucent stone, illuminated under the fluorescent lights. "This is for you," he said, his voice unwavering. "It's a lucky stone. Keep it in your pocket, and whenever you feel lost, remember, I'm shining somewhere in the world, and you'll always be a part of that." With trembling fingers, Emma took the stone, feeling its cool surface and the warmth of his gesture meld together as one. "Thank you, Leo. I promise to keep this close, just like I'll keep you close in my heart." Later that evening, as the last remnants of sunlight disappeared behind the horizon, Emma walked out of the hospital's sliding glass doors, a profound sense of change washing over her. She glanced at the stone nestled in her palm, its surface shining softly under the twilight. The heartaches from saying goodbye were reassuringly tempered with hope. Leo had shown her that kindness rippled far beyond what one could see. It stretched through time, illuminating hearts even when physically apart. Her commitment to nurturing the sparks of resilience and empathy within other children would now be her guiding star. In that moment, Emma realized that their story wouldn't end there. Leo had ignited something deep within her, a fire that needed to spread further, an unyielding determination to reach out to those who felt alone, to become a beacon of light, just as she had been for him. Driven by purpose, Emma vowed to create more spaces for children like Leo, a commitment rooted in the healing power of compassion and the magic that blossoms from acts of caring. With pride swelling in her chest, she stepped confidently into the unknown, knowing that the love and lessons learned from her time with Leo would forever guide her toward making a lasting impact. And somewhere, far beyond those hospital walls, Leo would undoubtedly shine. Perhaps not as brightly as the sun, but a gentle glow that promised to light the path for the many children who, like him, carried their own pieces of sunshine within their hearts.